Okay, so you just bought some of my super awesome custom buttons for your PS4 controller, and now you need to know how to install them. So the first step is going to be taking these 4 screws out on the back of the controller. They're just a small Phillips head. So you get those 4 screws out, then you can separate the 2 halves of the case. Sometimes these can be very stiff. You kind of want to squeeze the front here a little bit and then pop this, and then you might have to do the same to the other side. You might have to put a lot of pressure, but you don't really want to yank it super hard because you have a little ribbon in here that connects your USB to the main motherboard, so you don't want to break that. Now if you have one like this where it doesn't have a bar across here, your triggers are most likely going to stay in there, but if they do happen to fall out, you take them, you see they got little pegs there, you just snap them right back in. But if you have a controller where the rear case has these bars across here, there's a good chance when you pop the case off, your triggers will pop off with it, and they mount on almost the same way. They still snap in, but the little spring is on the trigger itself instead of in the frame like it is on this one. So if that happens, just make sure you don't lose your little spring. Kind of hold it. You'll see there's a little slot there on the frame. You just make sure that goes into the little slot and your trigger snaps back in. So your next step will be take the battery out. It just plugs in. And then you'll have 1 screw inside the battery tray. There's quite a few different board models of controllers, so this might look a bit different in here on yours. Sometimes the screw is connected to the battery tray, sometimes the battery tray can just wobble around in there, but the disassembly process for all PS4 controllers is the same either way. You'll have to remove this screw. So even if it's not connected to the battery tray, it does hold the motherboard in. So take that out. This is the same screw that was in the 4 case screws, so you don't have to worry about mixing those up. And then you have a little cable here for your trackpad. Just kind of gently work that out. You can use if you're having trouble, you can use like a pair of tweezers or something to grab it, get it out. And then just push on your sticks a little bit, kind of work the motherboard loose, and be careful not to break these wires. Those are connected to your rumble motor, so if you break any of these wires, your controller won't vibrate anymore. You'll have to resolder them on. The sticks themselves just pop right off. You just pull those off, and then you can grab your new ones, work those on there. Probably going to be a bit stiff the first time you put them on when they're new, So you get those mounted on, and then there's no extra screws holding your frame in. You can just work that right out. Now, a lot of PS4s, they'll have your options and share button integrated into the frame, like this one does, but some of them, they are separate buttons in there, so just be aware of that. If you have buttons in here, they will fall out if you tip the controller. And then this rubber pad over here is your 4 main buttons. This one's for your power button. Just take those off, and you can dump the buttons out. If your trackpad falls out, there's nothing special holding it in. You just hook it around this bar and it snaps right back into place. And then take your new buttons, just drop them in. All of the buttons that I make, they're the same. They just have a tab here and a tab there, so you can drop them into any slot. Put your rubber piece back on. There's 4 pegs that line up with the 4 holes in it that you just push it into. And then you can take your power button, drop your power button in there, push that back in, and then when you're putting your frame back in, the ribbon for the trackpad needs to go through this slot. It can be a little bit of a pain to get that lined up. Sometimes it doesn't quite want to go in. There it goes. If you're having trouble, again, some tweezers might help. If it's just not poking all the way through, you can grab it gently, work it in. This is a good time just to kind of make sure there's no like hair or debris inside your controller, because if you get a bunch of hair or stuff in between this and this, that'll make your button stop working. This is what transmits the button inputs from here to the motherboard. So then flip your motherboard back over, snap it in place, take your trackpad ribbon, plug that back in, put your battery tray back on, take your battery. Now sometimes they're on different sides, so you might have your plug for the USB over here, your battery plug might be over there, but it's all the same either way. You get your battery back in, and then take your rear case and just find whatever way is comfortable for you to hold it. You want to get this to plug back in here. It's kind of awkward to do at the angle that I'm trying with the camera in front of me here, but once you get that plugged in, kind of this piece, there's like a little slot that goes into, and you just pop your case back together, and then all you need to do is put your 4 screws back here and you're done. Now you have nice custom buttons on your controller. These ones, can be a little bit trickier. Sometimes you might need to, like here, I'm just going to put the case on, I'm not going to plug it in, but sometimes you might need to pull your triggers down a little bit to be able to get this over. And get that back on. Okay, so that concludes the video. I hope you enjoy your new custom buttons. Have a great day.